if you don't, do you have more questions? Or remarks, complaints?
You were mentioning about anger, when you feel anger, you should hold up the mirror. My first thought was, when you feel anger, you should hold up the mirror. My first thought was, I hold the mirror facing the other person, and I'm thinking, this is what making me angry. And then I thought, no, I have to face my own anger. And where is that coming from? Where do I change that?
When I talked about the mirror-like wisdom aspect of anger, yeah, it was not the idea of showing the mirror to the other, which might have the opposite effect. I think now here we talk about this capacity that, like a mirror reflects everything very precisely without choosing or picking or preferring. So in the same way, the mind is able to see itself and to see phenomena. And your question is more about how to deal with anger, and this capacity to see what is going on in your mind can help you deal with anger. When something comes up in your mind, anger, an angry thought, a thought of rejection, anything like this, the wish to hurt someone, with this clarity of mind, you are able to see it exactly in the moment when it comes up. And through meditation practice, we can learn to have a mind that is spacious enough to hold that thought and decide whether we want to produce a sentence that comes out of our mouth, or whether we want to be active and act it out, or whether we want to do nothing about it. In order to do that, in order to have that freedom, you have that cord on your head instead of being pulled by the anger that just makes you do against your will, whatever. That is the power of mind training, of seeing what comes up and learning not to react. So for a certain period of time, it means that we take time out of the day where we just sit and we say, okay, during this period of time, whatever comes up in my mind, even if it is an important project, an important thought I have to deal with, I will deal with it later. But right now, the only thing I'm training is to make my mind big and spacious so that all things can come up, but I don't react to it. It can come up and I just look at what is a thought after all, where does it come from, where does it stay, where does it go, and just deal with that. Yeah? And this is a way of learning to see, learning to handle my mirror-like wisdom. And of course, after that comes much more. You have to think about, you have to use your own intelligence and wisdom that once you see what's coming up in your mind, you still have to decide what am I going to do with it. But the very basis for being able to do that is to have the capacity to let things be, to let thoughts arise and disappear again without interfering. So that would be the very first step to it.
Okay, you probably have answered this, but I didn't get it. I don't quite understand how you get from watching your breath to this more exalted state of looking at each thought and determining what it really is, what you've just been mentioning.
Yeah. When we talk about watching your breath, the breath is the meditation object. You can take lots of different things, also a material object or a visualization. Yeah. The meaning of this meditation object is to become aware of your mind. Because normally we are not, we are just using our mind in the perception process, but we are caught up in the object of our perception. And so here we have something very continuous and and monotonous like the breath. And by taking the breath as an object, first of all, we discover that we are not really able to stay with it all the time.
Right.
A thought goes, and maybe a whole story, and then we see, oh, I wanted to just stay here. And there you discovered something about the mind. The mind is creative, all the time creating thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You work with the breath until you have this simple presence of mind. Yeah? Because it's this presence of mind that is the real mindfulness.
You mean presence of mind rather than all these thoughts?
You can have both, but the breath is there to make you aware of your mind, of your thought process.
Okay.
Once you have used that, you can actually let go of the breath. Then you would deal with what comes up in the mind directly. That can mean you're sitting there just being aware and open and nothing happens whatsoever. It could mean that one thought after the other pops up. But because of your training from before with the breath, is when a thought pops up, you will not add another one onto it. This is what we normally do. We have one thought, and that leads to another, to another, to another, to another, and we have a whole chain, and we are debating with our lawyer instead of sitting on the cushion. I mean, we're sitting on the cushion, but our mind is somewhere else. When we are a little bit more sophisticated, we might have thoughts, and then we have this commentator who is judging our meditation and saying, oh, here I am distracted again. But this is the same. It doesn't really matter if this is another thought. And what we want to learn is to just have a thought, not interfere, not manipulate, and let it dissolve. Yeah?
Except interfere in the sense of stopping it.
You do nothing at all about it.
But then how do you get out of it?
Out of what?
Out of the thought and back to the space.
Well, where's the thought going if you don't do anything with it?
Well, on its own, it multiplies.
Well, that's just the thing.
You're not going to stop it.
It is not on its own that it multiplies. It is our desire for thinking that makes it multiply.
Oh.
It is, and this is something to discover in meditation. I mean, there are times where the mind is more creative, and you have one thought pop up after the other. If you have thoughts and either always the same or related to a story, that is our desire for wanting to have thoughts, because it is frightening to be without thought. Remember this idea of having I and the other, having this idea that I'm separate from the other. It is all based on constant thinking. As long as I perceive something out there, or even a thought in my mind is something else than I, as long as that is going on, I feel, okay, here's I, and I exist because I perceive something out there that exists. And so when we bring ourselves to a state where we relax, and maybe not so much is going on, then that can become scary, because we really come in touch with it. Maybe I don't exist, or at least not as I thought. And so there's a reaction to that, and you want to start thinking again. But meditation doesn't mean that there must be no thoughts. Meditation means that you change your attitude to thought. So even if you say lots of thoughts are popping up, that's no problem. Then you let them pop up, but you don't do anything about it. Just watch. And then you can go even further and say, when a thought comes up in your mind, you just directly look at it. It's all just words that only describe a little bit what we are doing. But it's said, if you look directly at it and ask yourself, okay, what is that thought without the content, without the storyline? And just ask the question without expecting a set answer to it. Then you come a little bit closer to what a thought is.